Hello, and welcome to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
BBSI, payroll, workers' comp, HR and business consulting services. BBSI.com. Independent merchant brokers. Low cost and no cost debit and credit card processing. 877-460-4747. IndependentMerchantBrokers.com. Boson Hub. Since 2012, Boson Hub has built over 350 websites and many ad campaigns. BosonHub.com. Adams Rib Smokehouse, 210 State Street in Salem. 503-362-2194. AdamsRibSmokehouse.com.
And now, your hosts for the Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
Ta-da!
And there's Russ.
There's Scott. Here we are on the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott. Man, we are so happy to be with all of you. We're so happy that you're here because without you, we don't have a show. So there you go. Thanks for being here today.
And this is a beautiful time in the Willamette Valley. We were driving around this last weekend after we got back from Texas, and the dogwood trees are just gorgeous with the white and the pinks. And every year I think, oh, I love the white. No, I love the pink. No, I love
Well, I love the pink. I'm going to tell you that I just saw in our neighborhood a beautiful pink dogwood. And I was thinking, next to those beautiful blossoming cherry trees, the flowering cherries that are lining the Capitol Mall, I love that. The pink dogwood is my favorite, and it is so much fun. And, I love this time of the year because we start to get a little more sunshine, starts to warm up. The days are getting longer. We're heading towards my birthday, which is the longest day of the year, which is always good.
Wow.
And yes, so I'm just excited that, we have such a beautiful area to live, Scott. So, Scott, what have you been up to besides?
Well, I mentioned we were in Texas. We flew out on the 5th of April. We got back on very late on the 20th, so essentially the 21st. So 16 days we were out on the road, and we went to Dallas and Austin, Waco, where we got to see the eclipse at the Magnolia Silos. So for those of you that are Chip and Joe Gaines fans and Fixer Upper, we were there for the eclipse with a bunch of folks, and we were in Houston down to Corpus Christi, and we finished up in San Antonio at the Texas Library Association conference and got to see just a ton of wonderful people.
Well, and that is, that's such a blessing about connecting with people, whether you're online or in person. But when you're online, it's so nice when you actually get to see them in 3D and see them in real life. It's such a blessing. And, we are all about local here on this show and wanting to encourage everybody watching, no matter where you're watching from, that this beautiful, wonderful global community we have that we all love, don't forget in the midst of all that, your local community and your local businesses and the amazing people locally that are doing things. And through that, the people of faith that are building this community and this business environment. And we're so blessed to be talking to believers in business here on this show, and thankful for all of you joining us. Just a reminder, we live stream every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, as you know, and it rebroadcasts on 790 at 6 p.m. And you don't want to miss that.
That's right, right on KWIL. You want to join there, and please share this with your friends and support our sponsors. These are others, more believers in business that we want to encourage. And today is another one. We were just talking about the beautiful flowers. The other thing about this time of year is the azaleas and the rhododendrons. And if you want the best display in the valley of azaleas and rhododendrons, take a walk on Oregon State University's campus at this
Oh
time of the
yeah.
year and visit. Well, who do you get to visit at Oregon State University who might be a guest on today's show?
Who might that be? Well, since you and I have graduated and moved on, it
Mm.
might be Mr. Stephen Hodges, who we have on today, who we are so thankful and blessed to have here today. And Scott, I think after one little note that I'm going to give, we need to get Stephen in. I just want to remind everybody that we have great ways to get a hold of us. And you will see ticking along the bottom information about Scott, Stephen, and I. You go to dscottsmith.com for Scott, russhedge.com for me. Stephen's information is going to be in the show notes and in the comments as well. And we'll also give those verbally for all you listening on radio. But also you can go to local.theexperience.video to get more information about Scott and I. Local.theexperience.video. We'd love for you to do that. And we'd also love for you to join our YouTube community at theexperience.video. Simple. We keep it so simple for you. Love you to join in on those things. And with that, I think it's time to get Stephen in the room and let's get this thing going.
Yeah, let's bring in Stephen Hodges. And I just want to say that we met at Young Entrepreneurs Business Week. This was a business camp for high school students. We were both volunteering to help high school students, and that's a great start to introduce who this man is.
There he is, Mr. Stephen Hodges. How are you doing, Stephen?
Oh, this guy. Great. What a lead up and what an introduction, and so blessed to be here. And I remember, gosh, Scott, remember when that was during the solar eclipse here when we met that summer at the other large institution that's somewhere in the Willamette Valley.
Yeah,
that one. And you're just, I'm selling these cups, and you had like all of these business brand ideas, and then you ended up giving me a ride. You gave me a ride back, remember? And I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And now we're friends. And and every time that I talk with you, there's always something businessy that you're doing, which is amazing. And it's so contagious. And you're a man of faith. And that's been such a blessing to me to be like, okay, well, you've had kids go through the whole process of getting out of the house, and now that they're adults, and I have young kids at home, and I just those little tidbits are just so amazing. So I'm so thankful for you, Scott and Russ. Grateful for you that I get to steal your tagline every single Chambers of Commerce greetings, which is always great, always an encouragement.
Well, that's what I love about you, Stephen. And I'm blessed, Scott, to have met him through you, I'm pretty sure, and through events that we've been doing. And Stephen is always supportive, always is supportive of me, my business, my faith, all that it's going on. I'm so thankful for you. I know I reach out to you, Stephen, and let you know I'm praying for you and your family, and you reach out to me and let me know the same. And I appreciate that. So why don't we start with, who is Stephen Hodges really, and what are you up to?
Oh, geez. Well, I'm up to just about 6 feet tall. Just kidding. Well, thankfully, I got a back injury, and I'm still over 6 feet tall, so that's good. So hi, I'm Stephen Hodges. I primarily am a man of faith. I'm a deacon. I'm the deacon of check-in. I think that's my official title at the Shift Church of Albany, Oregon. And I used to teach in Christian schools, and now I am teaching at Oregon State University. So that is a really big part of my life, and we mentor students. We have 83 businesses, and 20 of them are my own businesses that students build out throughout the year. I'm literally in the dormitory right now of Weatherford Hall, and my students live upstairs, and my classroom is down the hall. So I get a lot of time with my students. And then I run Boson Hub Digital Development, the sponsor for today. And I build websites. We do digital marketing. We have about 100 clients now that we take care of in various forms. Some very small businesses, some are multi-million-dollar businesses. I'm a father. I have young kids at home, 3 and 1 years old, or 3.5 and 1.5 now. And I just have been spending a lot of time intentionally with them. I'm a husband. I love my wife, Ashley. She's just wonderful and stellar and amazing. And just she works at the Shift as the kids ministry director, which means that I'm by default the volunteer. And then, I'm the board president of Nerds Abroad Incorporated. So we provide technology to various different facets of organizations in the Willamette Valley. And then I'm the board president of the Oregon Fire Service Museum. So we got a whole bunch of fun stuff with fire safety, fire awareness. And we have a bunch of old fire trucks that we get to go play with every once in a while at the Powerland Heritage Park. Gosh, I think that's it. Nothing else.
Well, Stephen, that is a handful of things that you're involved in, and we'll break some of these down a little bit. And I want to start with Boson Hub. And tell us first, what does Boson Hub mean? Many people may or may not know what that is. And how did you get started?
Yeah, I love the names that I've heard over the years about, like, Boston Hub is the one that I hear all the time. But it's actually the boson. So the Higgs boson is the smallest particle that man has been able to find in the CERN accelerator in Switzerland. And people, they call it the God particle. It's because there isn't an explanation for this. It is the Higgs boson. And so, one, I wanted to do that as a reflection and a testament of my faith, but also the minutia details and setting things up in a cornerstone that's just perfect. Well, that's Jesus. Jesus is that cornerstone, right? And so I'm not Jesus. I can't get there, but I have an example of setting out things in the right direction. So we want to make sure that minutia, that tiny details, are all perfect. And then hub. So I'm the hub of everything. So even if I'm not the best person for you, I will find the right person for you. So I know, like Scott, we've worked on ad campaigns before. There's a time and a place where I'm like, you know what, I need someone to do ad campaigns for me that are Google ads. Here's the budget. And then I've referred out to you. You're a trusted individual. So here you go. So I like to be the person to go to. And that's where.
Yeah, Stephen, you broke up a teeny bit there, but I was going to tell you that that's what I love about you is your collaborative spirit and how you're so willing to work with people. And, talked about what you and Scott have done together, but I think it all revolves around how you look at people in your community when you're willing to promote and support other people that maybe do something similar to you, but maybe have a little more expertise in a certain area, or they're going to get the best option over here. So you're promoting somebody that you really know, like, and trust, and that you're willing to help, and has quite often has that same faith that you have, which is always important. But within that, I love that spirit myself, being able to help people out and send people your direction, Scott's direction, whatever. How have you found community to be so supportive for you, even through your faith and all that you're doing? Because, there's so many examples that I can think of, how people have really reached out and supported, not just through business, but through faith and personal as well.
Yeah, a lot of this journey started because I was teaching at a Christian school where you're teaching there for the Lord. You're not doing it for the salary. You're teaching for God, and that's where I started the company. And there are men who I can think of that are solid men of God, who we don't agree on everything, but have been an incredible encouragement. Because, like, during COVID, before we had kids, we had a COVID baby. And before all of that, I really felt God's saying, like, you should let things go. You should simplify your life, which, believe it or not, I simplified my life. And that whole journey of, I let go of about 200 clients. That was a lot, but having the encouragement and seeking prayer and talking with pastors and mentors and going through a lot of that process. And Scott was a part of a lot of that process. And so surrounding yourself with wise counsel and understanding that I'm not doing my business primarily to make money. I really am not. I want my faith to be reflected in the way that I'm taking care of my clients. And if that means I have to refer to people who are, quote unquote, my competition, they're getting taken care of, is because I put them above the whatever money that I could make by squeezing people. That's just not what we do. And so a lot of that is a reflection of my faith, is because not everybody runs businesses like that, where it's like, it's about money, 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 money. And we want to make you money. We want to make you money. It's like, we want you to be successful. It's because for some of the people that we work with, success means, well, you don't have to do the manual processes anymore. All of this time, and that time is, you can go do whatever you want with it. And ultimately, sure, that could make money for you, but we do a lot of automation. We do a lot of virtual events, so people are able to reach out and talk about whatever they're talking about. We did one for the Columbia River that starts in Canada and comes down to Oregon, and like all of that, like, I was able to help build a platform to get that message out and talk with people from so many different walks of life. And so throughout that, it really is a time of sharing and just be like, I'm a simple guy who loves Jesus. I know a couple of things where I go boop, 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 and you'll get clients. Those are the types of things that I want that to be such a strong reflection of. This is a solid man. It's because he's a solid man of God.
Yeah, I
So
love this. We often talk about work-life balance, and I think it's actually probably more of a work-life integration because it's not as separate. But when I listen to you, Stephen, and we'll just remind everybody that Stephen Hodges is today's guest on the Experience Local with Russ and Scott, and you are the owner of Boson Hub Digital Development. You are an instructor teaching and shepherding students at Oregon State University. You're involved in your church. You have a number of volunteer activities as well as your family. So when we first met, you didn't have your children, your boys yet.
Yeah.
And tell us about how children and all of these things, how you integrate those with your faith.
Yeah, I was actually going through a prayer journal that my wife and I were working on back in 2021 when we just had Noah and he was a young kid, and listening through what was written down about what my spouse was asking me about, can you do this and that? And I have ADHD, and so I'm always all over the place. And the one thing that's been really helpful is to have structure. And the one thing that I always recommend to everybody, including my students, is the Sabbath. God gave us the Sabbath, and I'm so incredibly grateful that that's a gift. Jesus took a nap, and for high productivity individuals like myself and both of you guys, that can be sometimes hard to be able to stop and pause and reflect. And that's been something that God has continually been doing in my life. And particularly we Sabbath on Saturdays. I know that some people have some theological thoughts about that, but that day is different than all of the other days where I'm not doing anything with Boson Hub. I'm not grading papers, but I'm always volunteering on Sunday. So I'm effectively working. So I grade papers and stuff on Sundays, but that sort of structure has been something that I've had to learn because I'm not good at that. And I've had really good mentoring, even my supervisor here at Oregon State, and then being like, Tuesday nights, date night. We have help with the kids on Mondays and Wednesdays. And like filling that in has been incredibly vital to be able to really, really rest well. And then when it's time to be productive, it's time to be productive. And then when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. To be there, it's sometimes hard for me to mentally be there, but to be there, to put the phone down and to go play on the fort in the backyard. It's things, those very simple things, for walking to the park and not having earbuds in, because I can listen to that sermon later. Those are the types of things. And so I stay up late sometimes. I was working on my car at 1:30 in the morning the other day for the Bad Ideas Garage, which I forgot that I do on YouTube. And it's those things where I really prioritize my faith, my spouse, my kids, and then everything else.
Yeah,
and I
love that.
I that's right out of the Bible, 100%.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that because it's about being present. And I'm constantly getting gentle reminders from my beautiful wife and my daughter about being present and focusing, because there's so many things in life that we let pass us by. And I think, it's so important to be with who we're with. And I love that about you, Stephen. It is totally biblical. It is totally all about your faith. And Jesus would want us to be there, enjoying those things, not distracted on other things. Today, I did a marketing tip of the day on removing distractions. We need to remove distractions from our life and focus on who's right before us. So in all the things you do, which is a lot of stuff, that intentionality, talk a little bit more about that. You said you have date night, the things you do.
Yeah.
What are the key elements and habits that you've developed to keep you on track with that?
Yeah, practically speaking, so making sure that we have date night. We don't do this perfectly. Sometimes it's Tuesday, sometimes it's Friday. Being in fellowship with other families where they're at is also a really key to this. And so we try to do go over to someone's house and have dinner together, and they have kids, and so the kids can be crazy together. Just doing things and trying to network with our neighborhood to really just be here. We don't have to go on these big outlandish trips to go have fun. We can just we go to the park a lot. It's things like that. And then also we are part of a gospel community group. So every Monday we meet And it's families that where they're at from our church, we get together and we study together, but we have babysitting there. So what we've been doing is we've been like pooling babysitting resources where it's like, well, if you're already paying for a babysitter, we're pooling that together. And then our families all know that if someone has to get up because someone's screaming in the other room, it's like a very normal thing. It's not cringy to be like, all right, whose kid is that? Not mine. That's not my scream. Things like that is just, it's super practical. And again, that structure, it's like Monday nights are the Bible study nights. And then we have the date night. And sometimes date night is just going out to the garage to organize and take things to Goodwill. That's sometimes date night. We don't have to go and have fancy things. And I love my spouse. It's because I can be like, all right, honey, sushi. And she's like, I'm there. And we get sushi to go. And we watch my 1-year-old deconstruct a California roll. And it's things like that is just, it's so precious. And really being thankful for the little things and seeking that joy. Again, in that the prayer journal, I was like trying to do like YouTube videos on my phone when Noah was like 5 months old. And even in those moments, I should have been there. And my spouse was very, very kind about like hinting at this. And so all of those things where it's like having a heart of like, it's okay. And learning. And this is what we should do with websites. This is what we should do when I'm teaching. But having a heart of being like, I learn things too, and that's okay. And sometimes I'm wrong, and that's okay. And I think that the attitude of gratitude is just so helpful.
I love it. And today's guest on the Guest Believer in Business is Stephen Hodges, Boson Hub, and Oregon State University, shepherding students over there at your church, your family. You mentioned Bad Ideas Garage. It's another one of your activities that you're involved in, and I follow that on Instagram, so people can find that as well. Lots of fun things there, but I want you to share a little bit about an extension from that, and that's the Oregon Fire Museum and a special event that's coming up.
Yeah. So there was a gentleman who passed away at my church, and he left behind this fire truck. And I knew what the Fire Museum was even before this, but we made sure that got taken care of and got transferred over to the Oregon Fire Service Museum, which was one of the wishes of his family, one of his wishes as well. Long story about that. But in the process, they're like, do you want to be a board member? And I'm like, okay, because I was really involved in a lot of paperwork that we had to do. And I have some experience with running my own nonprofit. And so I said, sure. And then they said, do you want to be the board secretary? And I said, okay, here we go. So prayed about it. So we have events that happen throughout the year at this place called Powerland Heritage Park. It's like 35 minutes north of Albany, depending on how fast you're driving. It's just north of Salem at the Brooks exit. There's a truck stop that's right there. And a lot of people don't know that this exists. And as a young father, this is like a playground for me and my kids. So they have events that happen all the time. So for example, the Steamed Up for Kids on May 18th. So that's coming up. We're going to be open as a museum. I'm going to be there as a participant. But the big event that we have going on, which is our premier event, because there's actually 16 museums that are there. 16. Some of them are big, some of them are small. We have our own building. And so most of the museums have their own premier event. And our premier event is the Father's Day Firehouse Fun. So on Father's Day, we have breakfast served in the morning, and then we have in the afternoon. I think Life Flight's going to come. They're going to land, which is going to be amazing. We have the Kids Firefighter Challenge, which is a lot of fun. We want kids to bring their Power Wheels if they want to drive around the campus. The other museums will be open. It's an idea for like kids to be like, oh, this is what first responders do. We have a bunch of fire trucks that are there that will show around for our kids. Very reasonable. It's $10 to get in, and $10 if you want breakfast as well. Discounts for first responders, active military, veterans, of course, and then it's half off for kids. It's a really fun event, and I'd love for you to all come join. Very family friendly. So bring the kids, have fun. It's just 35 minutes away from where we live.
Yeah, and it's so important. And Stephen, as we wrap up here, I'm going to give you final opportunity to give your golden nugget or wrap up of the day. But I want to say how important that is. Firefighters, Lifelight, all of that stuff you brought up. The reason is I was the recipient of life-saving measures by the fire department, the police department, and Lifelight back after my freshman year at Oregon State. So I am so thankful for those things. And whether you're talking about the museum and all the remembrance of that, it also promotes all the amazing work they're doing today. So I'm so thankful for the things you do there. But listen, give us just a couple minute wrap up of your comments, your golden nugget, and how do people get in touch with you? Let them know so our radio listeners can hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I feel like there's a lot of pressure here, but I do want to say thank you to our first responders, to military veterans. I just am so thankful. And I, by association, get to work through the museum. We are a memorial, a learning center, and a museum. So I'm trying with using the gifts God has given me and to try to get this further pointed out about being thankful for our first responders community. And by association, police officers and military, there's a lot of thankfulness that you can have. So my nugget is to have a stop and pause and reflect, is that life is so busy, and our phones, these things, turn off the notifications. You do not need to have them on. It's because with a little bit of structure, and that's hard for me. I'm going to say hard for me. Turn off the notifications and structure things where it's like, this is the time that I'm doing production. This is the time that I get to be there. And I will say it's a struggle, and there's more technology. It's like, do you need your smartwatch? I got rid of mine. I have a hybrid watch that does one thing. It buzzes when I wake up in the morning. And if my wife calls me, it's an actual emergency. Everything else can wait. Everything else can wait. So think about, are things truly an emergency? Do you always need to be connected to the Instagram? I literally run the Bad Ideas Garage on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, unique content on all of the pages. I do not need to respond to those comments quickly. It's just going to increase my blood pressure and make my ADHD and anxiety go. So think about those moments. If things are really emergency, do you need to respond? Do you need to just stop and pause and think about something that you can be thankful for, to pray, and then proceed?
Awesome. And people get in touch with you, how?
Oh, yes. Okay. So we have all the socials for Boson Hub, but the easiest way is probably LinkedIn, Stephen M. Hodges. You can also find me on Facebook. It's a public Facebook account. Feel free to send me a message. On Instagram, it literally all goes to the same spot. So Instagram, you can search for the Bad Ideas Garage on any of the platforms, or Stephen M. Hodges. Always open to talking with anyone about business. I always want to make sure that people are set up for success, whatever that looks like. And I'm trying to make more time to get coffee with people. So thanks for getting coffee, Scott, the other day. But a lot of times it's just a text messaging conversation. If that's something that will help bring a little nugget that's going to help with success, send me a message. Would be glad to help, whether it's life, website, bad ideas, etc.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen, so much. What a blessing to have you today. You and I got to do coffee soon.
I know,
but
man.
Thank you. We will talk to you real soon. We're just going to say goodbye. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, blessings, guys. See ya.
Well, what a lot of fun talking with Stephen Hodges of Boson Hub and a lot of other things. One of the things I put into the chat was that he has written a children's book. So thank you to Amber for reminding us that Stephen has written a book called Monster Trucks Have Day Jobs, and it's available on Amazon. And he did it because he wanted to share these stories with his sons. So
amazing. So amazing. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. Just remember, we're here every Monday on the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott. We are broadcasting live stream on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube at 9 a.m. Pacific, and also broadcasting on the radio at 6 p.m. on KWIL 790 on Mondays as well. We're so blessed that you're here. I want to say thank you so much. And Amber's reminding us as we go out that Stephen actually wrote 3 books, and he's been a busy boy. But with that, we're going to have to pass along all that information. In fact, you can go to the Hope 107 Facebook page for more information. Just want to thank you all for being here with us today. And until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed life, and enjoy
the experience.
There you go.
Thank you for tuning in to The Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to find podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Experience Local with Russ and Scott.